Hi, Vanith.
Hi, Anand.
So, let's start now. Hello, everyone. Hello, students and parents. My name is Anand Mishra, and I am the Vice Dean of the Jindal School of Banking and Finance. Uh, with me, we have Professor Vanith Bhatia, who's the Assistant Dean and Assistant Professor at Jindal School of Banking and Finance. Professor Vanith and I both teach finance-related courses. Um, Professor Vanith is going to introduce himself in a very short while. But before that, let me tell you a bit about the kind of webinar you are attending today and what kind of things we'll be talking about. Before anything else, I hope every one of you is safe and healthy wherever, whichever city you are in. I hope everyone in your family, your neighbors, and your friends are safe and healthy, and you are coping up very well with the lockdown situation, the best that you can. You are doing that. With that, let me introduce you to this idea of webinar. We thought that it is very important for young students such as you to understand how role of accounting and finance professionals in industry is changing dramatically. I'm sure that you must have read a lot of articles, you must have watched many videos online where people are indeed talking about this. And there is not, of course, there's a lot of hype around that the things are changing. Things have always changed, and they have always been changing. But this pace of change is a little bit more dramatic. Therefore, we thought that it is very important that we speak to all of you and try to sensitize you towards the kind of changes that are happening in industry these days so that you can plan your career for next 10 years. Jindal School of Banking and Finance is one of the 9 schools that OP Jindal Global University has. And our goal is to, if not revolutionize, at least transform the meaning of undergraduate education, especially meaning of BCom program. I'm sure that many of you will agree, and your parents would also agree, that many students in India feel that undergraduate degree is merely a gateway to post-graduation degree. And the actual study and actual career building begins to happen after postgraduate. We want to change that perception. The way we have put together our program is reflective of that. So keeping that in mind, we thought that it is very important for us to engage you in this conversation, that how accounting and finance is changing, how it is likely to change, and therefore begin to address these issues with you at the beginning of the BCom program itself. So without much ado, I will hand the mic and the stage over to Professor Vanith, and he will speak with you for 8-9 minutes. Then I'll give you my thoughts about the changing role of accountants and finance professional industry for another 7-8 minutes. We're going to stop after maximum of 20 minutes, and then we will be very happy to answer any question whatsoever you have about the field of accounting, about field of finance, the kind of job that exists today, the kind of jobs that are likely to be there in 5, 6 years, 7 years down the line, and the kind of skills you should acquire, keeping in mind that role of accountants and finance professional is going to change, and how you acquire that. So I'm handing over the stage to Professor Vanith Bhatia. Then I'll speak to you a little later.
Thank you, Professor Anand. So first, I hope that all of you are fine at your respective places. So how we have planned this webinar is I'll briefly talk about what is the current kind of job market, what are the current qualifications, and briefly, so that everybody is at the same page that what is happening in say at the moment in say accounting and finance careers. So to a general public, or say maybe uh, your parents and your elders, for them maybe accounting and finance is one and same thing, but they are very different things, and they require very different kind of skill sets to be successful in these respective careers. So just let me start with what accountants do, what they are, and how to be an accountant and how to be successful in this career. So as the name suggests, accountants focus more on accounting, so then finance. So which can include, and but it is not limited to, say, for example, final accounts, then auditing them, maybe related to taxation, accounting processes and systems, financial reporting, forensic accounting, to name a few. So let me just give you an example. If you are an accountant in a manufacturing firm, so a firm which is manufacturing certain products, say FMCG company. So what would be a accountant be doing in that company? So that accountant, the job of that accountant primarily will be to manage company accounts, prepare them, and manage their end-to-end processes related to accounts. Maybe plant accounting if there are separate plants are included, maybe scrutiny and finalization of the books of accounts, balance sheets, but most importantly, statutory compliance, GST, etc. Now, if we take another example, say a software company. So if you are, or if anyone is an accountant in a software company, what kind of skill sets or what kind of things that accountant will be doing in a software company? So the jobs or the job description can include and but not limited to, say, for example, manage all accounting transactions, handle monthly, quarterly, and say annual closings, reconcile accounts, uh, both payable and receivables, ensure timely bank payments, and compliance. So if I talk in the broader sense, what accounting professionals do, they can do diverse variety of roles that can include manage accounts, perform internal audits, manage salary and wages, send out invoices, manage taxes. Now, if we talk about auditing side of accounting, then they may be performing statutory audits as per the company act or internal audits. They can also be cost accountants when they are working towards, say, forecasting, budgeting, expenditure control, increasing efficiency, cost reduction, etc. They can also be working as, say, tax experts who are advising on taxes as per changes in the business plan, say for individuals and for companies. But these jobs of these accountants are not limited to these, but they can also advise various corporate houses on corporate laws. They can also advise on financial planning or project planning, business advising, and so on and so forth. So now, if we just see what kind of courses accountants or these professionals have studied in the past or studying at present, traditionally and to some extent uh, at present, subjects or courses are related to accounting, laws, taxation, auditing, assurance, and to some extent financial management, economics, and quantitative techniques. So as I will talk more about financial analyst later on. So these subjects and these qualifications are restricted to how much quantitative techniques are used, say for example mathematics and statistics and model building, etc. Now, how to be a successful accountant? So traditional ways to be a BCom, MCom, and other related degrees, or you can pursue some professional qualification. For example, you can be a CA, that is chartered accountant, from uh, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So you can be a member, you can visit their website. They will they describe various steps to be a chartered accountant. But when we talk about international setup, there is one body which was established way back in 1904, that is Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Uh, in short form, we call it as ACCA. So it is a global body which gives you a professional qualification to be uh, working as a chartered accountant in various jobs and various designations. So now let me shift to what a financial analyst is now. So Now, if we talk about financial analysts, as the name suggests, they are into analyzing something. So financial analysts, analyzing something related to finance. So their jobs may cover various aspects of financial analysis. For example, they can be working on fixed income analysis, say share market analysis, stock market analysis, or individual company analysis, financial management, etc. Let me just give you a few examples of how, if say, for example, a financial analyst is working in a consultancy firm. So what would that financial analyst would be doing? So that person would be like developing financial models, would be forecasting quarterly and annual profits, analyze and report on current financial status, maybe what would be happening in future, maybe forecasting that, and then what are the various investment options and what are different risks that are associated with risk, maybe long-term planning, and maybe helping in establishing financial policies. So this is only if I'm talking about consultancy firm. Now, if I'm talking about if a person is working as financial analyst in say life insurance company, so what would that financial analyst would be doing in a financial analyst in a life insurance company? So the main job could include like provide creative alternatives and recommendations to reduce cost, improve financial performance, assemble and summarize data based on some sophisticated reports and modeling, develop financial models, conduct business studies on past and future, identify future trends, where this company should invest, which product should they get into in future. Now, if another example, if I give you, if a financial analyst is working in a bank, so these jobs can range from say, for example, a credit card analyst to say just building a model for a business. So, for example, if a financial analyst in a bank can be working on independently conducting quantitative analytics and modeling projects. So there can be different type of projects which these financial analysts will be evaluating. These analysts can be evaluating or developing new models, analytical processes and systems. Not only that, they can also, or they should have kind of skills that are quantitative, analytical, and they should have broad knowledge of financial markets and products. So if they can in future propose new product and services. Another type of job financial analysts can do is credit analysis in maybe bank and financial institutions, where they find and they try to assess the credit worthiness of securities, individual companies. So you must have heard about different rating agencies. So those are kind of research analysts, and more specifically credit analysts, those who are working to provide rating to different companies or say investments. There can be other job opportunities, or say where these research analysts or say financial professionals will be working. If you must have heard of it, investment bankers. So what investment bankers do? They manage entire thing about our entire process of initial public offer. So whenever a company decides to go public, and there are investment bankers who would be say managing all this process. There is another thing that financial analysts would be doing called risk analysis. So where to make investment, what kind of risks involved, and how to mitigate those risks. So all these things are financial analysts do. And now coming to how to be a financial analyst, what kind of qualifications you require. So you can go through a traditional route, for example, BCom, MCom, MSc in finance, MSc in quantitative finance, maybe MBA in finance, or maybe certified financial analyst. So various universities in India and abroad offer MSc and MBA in finance, including IIMs. For example, our own BCom program offers kind of tools, techniques, and subjects where you can be a financial analyst in future. So now just briefly talking about what kind of subjects a financial analyst will be studying. So in comparison to CA or accounting courses, financial analyst courses, or the person who wish to pursue financial analyst as a career, would be studying quantitative methods more in comparison to accountants. They will be studying more of economics, they will be studying more of finance, corporate finance, equity investment, fixed investment derivatives, and so on and so forth. So I'll stop here with this brief introduction about various traditional roles and various traditional knowledge skills that are required to be successful in these careers. Now I'll hand over the stage to Professor Anand.
Thank you, Vaneet. Guys and friends, Professor Vaneet is speaking from his experience. I did not tell you about Professor Vaneet's background. Professor Vaneet has a PhD or fellowship from one of the IIMs in India, and he also has an MBA. And he has worked in a bank for, I think, 3 years before joining academia. And he has done extensive research in the area of risk management and related finance area. So he's speaking from the experience. And as far as I am concerned, I will be speaking to you about future of finance and accounting. And I am also speaking from the experience. I am much older to Professor Vaneet here. I have worked close to 9 years in banking industry. In fact, I have taken a very circuitous route in my career. Wherever I am, I have wandered around a bit. I started my education with Chartered Financial Analyst course. I worked with banks for a few years. Then I decided to take an MBA, acquire an MBA, and I did my MBA in sort of analytics area. And then I started working again after my MBA. After some time, I decided to get into academia. Then I went for my education again, and then I completed my PhD from USA. And in between, I kept working with a lot of corporates as consultant, and I worked with a lot of corporate bodies as a project director. But that's not very relevant here. So the reason I'm telling you about our background is that we have, Professor Vaneet and I together must have seen close to 2 decades of evolution of financial services industry in India and to some extent abroad also. I'm sure many of you, and in fact, I'm going to address some of the questions that are already put in there. And one question at least is already talking about, isn't accounting on its way out? And I'm sure all of you are reading articles online and videos on YouTube. And everyone seems to be talking about that accounting is dead. And in fact, finance is also a little bit threatened. Well, of course, people are entitled to their opinion, but I would say no. In fact, emphatic no, that no, accounting is not going to be dead. Finance profession is also not going to be dead. It's like saying that, when the automobile or cars were introduced, people were thinking perhaps, of course, people who used to be in the business of providing transportation on horse, they were very worried about that. But the transportation people who are involved in transportation services had to learn new skills. Accountants will also have to learn new skills. I recommend you to read a report which has been put together by World Economic Forum. The title of that report is Future of Job. It's very informative. In fact, it is very well researched. They have asked various chief financial officers, CFOs, MDs, CEOs across the world as to what kind of jobs are threatened. I am not denying that if you prepare the list, if you go through the list that WEF has put together, you're going to see accounting job are some of the most threatened jobs. Some jobs in finance also a little bit threatened. So let me elaborate on it. What kind of jobs in accounting is threatened? You know that accounting and finance is a very big umbrella within which various kinds of careers are possible. Some careers within the accounting and finance are definitely on their way out. But some others will not only increase, but also will become far more important than they currently are. What kind of jobs in accounting and finance can be dead or will definitely be dead, if not in next 2-3 years, definitely in 10 years? Routine kind of job. The jobs which are rule-based, very strict rules are there. The jobs which require mere matching of one document with the other. Jobs that require merely passing journal entries, posting them into ledger, reconciliation. Why? Because anything that is rule-based, anything that is routine can easily be done by programs, artificial intelligence program, or robotic programs or any kind of automation. In fact, if you spoke to your parents or your brothers and sisters who are already working in industry, they will tell you that automation is already there. And I think most of the companies are already working with the ERP system. So routine kind of transaction, routine kind of reporting is already being done by some sort of programs, and it will only gather pace in future. In next 5-6 years, you're going to see that majority of such jobs will be done. So if you were thinking that you will basically begin your career with, some sort of very simple journal posting and ledger posting, no, that job is not going to be there. Similarly, in finance area, if your task is limited to producing very routine sort of report that you analyze a very financial statement in a very routine way, there's not much insight in that report, those kind of jobs can easily be done even now by ERP system. ERP system have dashboard which routinely on daily basis generate wonderful reports, better than human beings, error free report, and very timely. So those jobs are already on way up. I'll just give you one simple example. You know that computers now can beat the best chess player in the world. Why can it do that? In fact, I would in fact venture to say that a simple app on your phone may be able to beat a grandmaster of chess. Why is that? Because chess, though it's a very complicated game, but it's rule-based game. And anything that is rule-based, machines can do better than you, because machines have a lot of memory and they can process almost infinite number of calculation in a very short span of time. So they will beat you. What can't machine do? Machine cannot think, cannot do complex level of thinking. They cannot do critical analysis. They cannot do strategic thinking. Artificial intelligence program already scan the, if you had some sort of scan of your lung, and if scan of any potentially sick person's lung, AI program can actually detect the beginning of cancer better than human being. But can AI program come up with some sort of medical solution for cancer? I don't think it's going to come from AI. It's going to come from human beings. Why would it come from human beings? Because coming up with something new requires very complex level of thinking. What do I mean by complex level of thinking? Being able to combine and assimilate knowledge from various areas. I'm going to talk more about it a little later. So in accounting, and in fact, Professor Vaneet has just mentioned various accounting degrees that are available, professional degrees that are available, not only in India, but abroad as well. CA, ACCA, CPA. In fact, all these programs are now changing their curriculum. CA is a little slow to react. I am not belittling CA, but it's slow to react. But ACCA and CPA are already including courses on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and more strategic level of thinking that is being expected from any future CA or ACCA professor. Similarly, CFA has recently added another level. Traditionally, some of you may be aware, CFA had traditionally had 3 levels, now it has 4th level. They are also responding to these changes because they know that in future these things are going to be very important, and they have also, CFA has also added another level which talks about artificial intelligence, machine learning. Objective is not to make BCom students and commerce student an engineer. Objective is for of these certificate program and even our own BCom program is that our students are aware how the business processes are changing, and they are comfortable with these artificial intelligence program and machine learning, so that they can work with engineers, they can work with programmers, they can tell them that what kind of programs are required, what kind of transactions should be automated. So therefore, it is extremely important for finance professional and accounting professional to understand that what is this AI thing, what is this machine learning. Anyway, So what kind of skills are going to be important? Let me be more specific. So just to summarize, I am saying that any job that is routine, any job that is rule based is going to be on its way out. So what should you do in your future? What kind of skills you should be focusing on in next 2-3 years, so that when these big changes actually happen in next 10 years, you are not only ready but thrive in that environment. So what should you focus on? I'm already cautioning you. What I'm going to be saying may sound to you very boring. I'm going to talk to you about cultural intelligence. I'm going to talk to you about social intelligence, emotional intelligence, creativity, critical thinking skills, complex thinking. you know People talk about these things very loosely, as if that you just read couple of self-help books and you are very creative, you become very innovative, or you basically do some readings and attend one online course, and your critical thinking skills are improved or enhanced to such a level that you become a top-notch professional in industry. No, these are more difficult things to acquire. Before you are able to do some complex thinking, you have to be very, very curious, very voracious reader, absorber of information, absorber of skills from multiple skills, multiple domains, multiple areas. Why am I saying that emotional skills and cultural skills are intelligence are very important? Because you're going to find that, in fact, it is already happening. Most of the accounting professional and finance professional now have to collaborate within their own company with various departments. It's already happening that a finance profession, whether that professional is in manufacturing industry or bank or any software company or any gaming company or Netflix or working for Amazon Prime, they are finding that they have to work with several other departments. What kind of department am I talking about? So if you are in Netflix and you are in finance department, you need to very closely understand that how these copyrights and the rights to stream these movies are acquired. What kind of costing is there? What kind of revenue models these movie production houses have? If you do not understand that, you will not be able to help Netflix how to keep its business model from finance perspective profitable. You will not be able to be part of the team which will negotiate with movie production house in terms of cost, in terms of revenue sharing. If you are a finance person for IPL kind of franchise, you need to understand the gaming business pretty well, the cricket and how this business has been put together. If you are in manufacturing company, you need to, if you are in steel, let's say if you work for Jindal Steel or Power and Power Limited, JSPL, then you need to understand from the power, so engineering department, what new projects they are coming with, so that you understand that next 2 years, how many crores or rupees will be required, so that you can begin to plan that from which sources will we be raising funds. You need to understand from production department in steel plant that how much steel are they planning to produce in next 2 years, so that you can minimize the risk of cost going up for coal and various other kind of input material. So you will have to be working very closely with various departments, and if you want to work closely with various departments, then you need to understand something about various other departments. So when you begin to work with various other departments, you need to have cultural intelligence, social intelligence, and emotional intelligence. You need to be able to listen. You need to be able to assimilate a lot of information and combine that information. I'm digressing a bit, but in Jindal School of Banking and Finance, we teach risk not only from quantitative perspective. Professor Vaneet and I teach futures and option, which are mostly, analytical way of looking at management of risk. But we have another professor in our, school who is an anthropologist, sociologist. What does he do? He looks at the idea of risk from cultural perspective. How families in Gujarat look at the risk of investment in equity market. How families in West Bengal look at risk in investment in equity market. how people from different kind of social strata look at investment in equity market. I'll give you an example. Suppose you work for a mutual fund company, and your job has been, your boss has, you are a young, professional there, and your boss has asked you to devise a plan so that we can also attract people from middle to lower middle class families to invest in mutual fund. You need to understand something about them. You need to understand their how much money do they spend in various areas before you can come up with those kind of. So, in order for you to become a very good professional in accounting and finance area in future, not only you have to learn all these basic accounting skills, finance skills, but you'll have to be much more curious about law. You're curious about sociology, economics. You have to be curious about the new kind of technology that is coming in. Then you, all of you know about Bitcoins, but you need to be curious about how the background technology on basis of which this Bitcoin has been put together is going to change a lot of accounting practices. So there are a lot of things that I can add here, but I would like to, start taking your questions, and with the help of your questions, not only Professor Vaneet and I will elaborate further on these related areas, but also we're going to talk to you about how JSBF uniquely, in fact, I will use this, tries to address most of the challenges that are going to be in future. Why did I say try? Because future is very difficult to predict. We have a team of very qualified 12 faculty members right now who have global experience, who have experience, solid industry experience, combined industry experience must be close to 60 years. And there are people who have been educated in top institutes in India and abroad. So we try to put our head together and try to understand that how the future is going to look like for our young students who will be graduating in next 3 years, and then perhaps after working for 1 or 2 years, maybe they'll go for an MBA, and it will already be 6-7 years. And when they actually seriously begin to work for industry, by that time industry will be dramatically different. So they should begin to lay foundation now, right now, so that it's anticipation. It's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future, but at least we should try to look ahead into the future, and whatever we can sense that what is going to happen in the future, try to respond to that. So I'm going to begin to take questions now. There are already a lot of questions. Professor Vaneet and I both are going to take these questions, and Professor Vaneet, feel free to chime in wherever you think that I'm missing out on something, and students keep sending your questions. So first question, I think we have already addressed to a certain extent, that is, isn't accounting as a profession on its way out in the future? I have said that no, and emphatically no. In fact, the report Future of Job itself talks about that yes, there are a number of jobs in accounting and finance which will go out, but the new jobs will be created. Many more jobs will be created than the number of jobs that will be lost. Because right now you must be thinking that industry will look exactly like what it looks like today and in next 10 years also. No, industry will also become slightly more complex. The families, people like you who will grow up, they will have more, you will have more money. Your requirement from financial services will be very different. You will require more complex financial services because jobs in future will be slightly different in the sense that our parents used to work for a company and they used to retire with those companies. You will not be doing that. You will perhaps be working for one company for 3 years. Maybe you will become an entrepreneur. Then perhaps you will again work for some other company. Maybe you will change your industry. For this kind of individual and this kind of family to come up with some sort of financial plan, how to secure your future, is going to be done by not by artificial intelligence people, accountant and finance professional of future who will understand that what this family is going through and what this family may require in future. So therefore, don't think that the the expectation of financial services will be similar in future. So just to summarize, I'm saying no. Yes, certain number of jobs will be dying. Routine jobs will die, but the new jobs will come in, which will require more intelligence, more emotional intelligence, social intelligence, cultural intelligence, complex level of thinking, and being able to collaborate with other human beings, being able to work with lawyers, work with statisticians, programmers, accountants, and finance professionals will need to be doing all these things. Professor Bunny, feel free to add to whatever I've said. Then we'll go on to second question.
Yeah, so just giving you one example. So you must be using, or you were using various online services, say for to deliver food to your homes or your respective places. So can you think of what kind of jobs financial analyst or say accountants would be doing in such kind of industry? So such an accountant or such a financial analyst should be able to work with very diverse team, as Professor Anand has already said. So, for example, if you're taking some order online, so there should be some system by which you will be able to process those entries, so that, because for example, at one moment in time, there will be like thousands and millions of orders around India. So if we talk about multinational companies like Uber, so where they are managing traffic, where they are managing their drivers, and where they are managing their expenses, where they are managing their profits, etc. So you need specific kind of skill sets where uh, you are able to cope up with this diverse requirements, and whatever you do in future, you should start preparing from now, that you should know what you are studying and how it is going to help you in future too, so that you can fit into these kind of requirements in future. So that's all from my side.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions right now. So we are going to quickly and hopefully very clearly respond to these questions because we have close to 23 minutes to address so many questions. So let me take second question. Why are commerce students taught accountancy, and why should BCom students study accountancy in college? I did CFA. I did, and if you're going to do MBA, whether it's been finance or accounting, everyone will be taught accounting. Why? Very simple answer. If you are hoping to become a senior professional in industry, forget about senior prof, even at the junior level also. Ability to read financial statement is absolutely important. I will not even talk to you about from the accounting perspective. If you are a CA, obviously you need to understand this. But even if you are not a CA, if you are a business development professional, if you are going to have a new client, and if you're going to provide that service to that new client on credit, you need to understand whether your client will be able to pay your money back in next 6 months or not. And how do you determine that whether your client will be able to pay your money back? Unless you understand something about your client's financial position. I am giving you an example away from accounting field. If a marketing person need to understand that, and you saying that finance professional should not understand that, of course, finance professional need to understand financial statement much better than any other individual, because financial statements will give you a strategic insight that how healthy your company is, where you are losing money. In order for you to make sense of financial statement, you need to understand accounting. It's not as if that you'll go into a class and start reading balance sheet, cash flow statement, income statement. You can't do that unless you understand accounting. Of course, if you have ambition of building your career in accounting area, and I'm saying that many of you must do that because accounting job is not going to be dead. Obviously, you need to learn more accounting, but everyone else will also have to learn accounting. That is why CFA, even Chartered Financial Analyst, has financial accounting course. MBA Finance will definitely have accounting course. Every MBA Finance across the world will have an accounting course. You need to be able to read financial statement. That is why financial accounting is taught, will continue to be taught. Not only financial accounting, also basic management accounting will be taught. Taxation will also be taught. If you are going to be entrepreneur, you better understand that what is going to be your tax liability. Otherwise, your business is not going to be done. Manit, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so maybe just one point. So Professor Anand was focusing on, say, if you are, or the question was focused on if you are an accounting expert or you want to be an accounting expert. But say, for example, if you do an MBA in, say, in any of the institutes around the world, say even IIMs or even top institutes around the world, you will have to study accounting. And why you are studying accounting, say, for example, in future, if you want to start your business and you hire an external consultant for doing your, say, manage your accounts, but if that person is fooling you around, you should be able to read the basic accounting statements to say where the another person is making error, and to make out and to analyze that statement and make out say future business plans. So yeah.
Professor Vani, the next question is right up your alley. So this question is, how does the insurance industry use accountancy? So the reason I'm throwing it in the direction of Professor Vani, students, my friends here, Professor Vani, I wanted to speak to you about the idea of lifelong learning. Professor Vanith is currently doing actuarial science program. So he is in best position to answer. In fact, most of our faculty members keep learning something new. For example, I have also registered in a new program called Certificate in Financial Technology. So everyone, and you'll also have to keep learning. So Professor Vanith, why do insurance people, actuarial science people also need to understand accounting?
Yeah, so answer will be same as it was, as we were trying to explain earlier, why we need accounting asset. So for example, again, insurance sector or say insurance companies will have diverse kind of accounting activities going on, diverse kind of transactions going on. So for example, if a company is giving you a life insurance product, so you will be paying certain kind of premiums in certain time in future. So when you are going to pay that premium, where to put that money, how long to put that money, all these things will be done by accountants. And as Professor Anand said, that if there is some actuary, that person will be trying to find out what is the premium amount. So there is a difference in what job description of say actuary and financial analyst or say accountant. So financial analyst here will come where to invest the money. Say for example, if there is a kind of insurance product you have bought which takes care of say 30 years, so after 30 years, if you say survive, say you have taken term insurance, so after 30 years if you are still here, that money will be paid back to you. Or say endowment plans, so there are different kind of plans that insurance companies offer, and to manage all those funds, yeah, accountants are required.
Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Sanav Anand is asking, what kind of changes going to happen in the job or nature of financial analyst in the post-COVID situation? Is it going to remain the same or will there be any difference? Very complex question, Sanav Anand. As I already said that accounting and finance field is very big. Most of the fields are big. Accounting finance field is also big. Within that, there are several subdomains. Some domains are going to be impacted dramatically by this COVID situation. I'm going to give you a very, perhaps you're going to be unsatisfied with the answer, because the reason I'm going to give you unsatisfactory answer because it's a very big area to cover. But I'm going to leave you with a very interesting idea. This crisis, this COVID crisis is going to impact our economy dramatically, and everyone agrees on that. How much will be the impact? It's very difficult to say right now. But the memory of this crisis is going to remain with us for a very long time. People like me who were working in financial services industry when the last crisis hit us, 2007, 2008, we remember that crisis for 7-8 years. And every project we would undertake, every decision we would make, we would always be careful to build a possibility of another crisis in our planning. Now, this memory will be with you, with people like you. When you will be working in industry, you know that this crisis can come from very unexpected direction. So you will add another layer of risk to all the planning that. And whenever you add little bit more risk to any kind of planning, I know it's a little complicated idea, but bear with me. Then you add another layer of risk to any kind of planning. Things become a little bit more costly. Just to give a very simple example, Perhaps many of you are seeing me for the first time. And right now, if I ask you that, give me 10 lakh rupees and I'll give you, your 10 lakh rupees back after 2 years and give you return of 10%. You'll perhaps think about it, perhaps not think about it. But if Mr. Anil Ambani comes and says that give me 50 lakh rupees, I'll give you 10% return, you'll definitely give it to him. Maybe you will not give that money to me at all, or maybe you'll say, fine, I don't know you, but you seem like a decent person. You are at least presentable, I hope. Then perhaps you will give me that money at 15%, not at 10%, because you don't know about my credibility. I am a slightly riskier person for you. So the moment the risk perception goes up, the cost of everything, cost of fund, cost of doing business, everything goes up. And you will study in your first year of BCom or any other program, if you're studying finance and accounting, you'll study that if the risk goes up, prices of assets go down. So you will see the impact of this in many areas by just this one factor. There are various other factors. So I'm very, I cannot answer this question in the kind of detail it deserves, because it requires another webinar on just this. So if you want to speak to me offline, I'll be very happy to speak to you. You can get in touch with Mr. Prateek. He will put you in touch with me. I'll be very happy to speak to you. Will be happy to speak to any one of you about this. So I'm going to leave this question right now, unless Professor Maneet also wants to add something to this very complicated question.
No, I will not add. So,
yeah. All right. So next question is by Divin Agarwal. Sir, what if a person is more interested in accounting rather than finance? Okay, I'll take first step. So I don't see any problem, Divin. But if you look at CA's curriculum, even the new one, whether you look at CA Foundation, CA Inter, or CA Final, you'll see that CA's most of the courses are related with accounting, cost accounting, management, advanced level accounting, management accounting is also there. But you also study financial management. So I'll give you only 2-sentence answer. If you are doing CA or ACCA, you'll have a lot of accounting papers like basic accounting, intermediate level of accounting, advanced level of accounting, cost accounting, management accounting, and you will have 1 or 2 paper of financial management. Like CA has 2 paper. Financial management at the, I think at beginning level, foundation level, and then you have strategic financial management. If you did CFA, you will study a lot of financial management program courses, a lot of them, but you will also study one accounting course. So look at the balance. If you're doing CA, you will do fewer financial management courses, more accounting courses. If you're doing CFA, you will be studying fewer accounting courses, but more financial management courses. Of course, you can do that. There is no problem. Professor Vani, ball is in your court now.
Yeah. So again, it is the kind of job description or kind of jobs accountants they get into. So they require more skills related to accounting, say taxation, maybe auditing, maybe international accounting, and so on and so forth. But when we are talking about finance, as we discussed earlier on, so they usually work as analysts. So they require more of analytical skills and more subjects related to finance.
Okay, so we have already been given warning that there is 15 minutes left, so we will move ahead with many other questions. So Priya Kakkar is asking, being an aspirer of working in IRS department, taxation that is, how can financing and accounting help me in assimilating the cultural background of all the businesses? Okay, that's a very nice question, Priya. It's a tricky question. So if you are in tax department, these are very somewhat academic question, but I'll try to make it practical. I have a sister who works in a private equity firm. She was a Citibank earlier. Right now, she works in, I don't know how many of you know about private equity banks. Basically, these are, anyway, I will not talk to you about that. Maybe once you are here, we'll talk about private equity firms. So whenever she speaks to any high net worth individual or rich client, whether it's individual or company, she goes there for the meeting with a team. Within that team, there is a lawyer, there is a tax professional, there is a quantitative kind, because I'm talking about solid amount of money, something like 200, 300 crore at least for basically available for investment. Now, this tax individual, first of all, not only this team will have to understand the client very well, and part of understanding the client very well is understanding that client's plan, life, fears, hopes, and the insecurities as well. Now, the tax planning is not a very kind of purely rule based. Had it been purely rule based, it would be done by an artificial intelligence program. The taxation also requires advice to your client that if you want to save your taxes, where should you be investing? If you want to, perhaps you expect that your income in future is going to be much larger than what it is today. So should do your tax planning in the anticipation of rising income in the future, or vice versa. If you think that your income is going to fall down in future, and therefore your tax planning needs to begin from now. This is one element. You're going to find that tax professionals need to understand the cultural perspective also. You will find subtle differences in the future planning of different kinds of families from different geographical areas. You're going to find, and I'm using a very stereotypical example, forgive me, but Gujaratis have higher risk appetite. Let's say someone from Uttar Pradesh or West Bengal, their planning, their tax planning, investment planning will be slightly different. You'll find that they have a little bit more risk appetite. They will perhaps like to, I'm not saying that they will not be exception. I'm saying generally speaking. It's very wrong to stereotype anyone, but it's a positive stereotype. That's why I'm using it. So you'll need to understand something about people so that you can advise good products and services to them, so that you can plan better. Similarly for companies also. There are some companies which are very aggressive in planning for the future. There are some companies which are not very aggressive. They are very, risk averse. There are companies which are, if you're going to advise a startup, you need to understand that what kind of entrepreneurs are working. What is there a fire in their belly? If you're going to find the fire in the belly, you're going to see that their risk appetite is much higher. So you will have to plan for them very differently. Their taxes, their capital structure, all these plannings will depend a lot on the kind of people you're working with. And not only that, you will be working with other professionals, like my sister does. You'll have to work with lawyers, you'll have to work with programmers, you'll have to work with quantitative analysts, and so on and so forth. I hope I managed to answer your question, Priya, and I will ask Professor Vaneet to add something if he has some thoughts about that.
So maybe just one point. So if you are working with, say, family run business, or you are working with, say, professionally run business, so you should know how to approach both these firms. Their approach to conduct business or do business will be very different. Yeah, so I'll stop there.
Shivram is asking, I am very much interested in financial risk management. So what will be the future of roles of actuaries? So Shivram, there are two ways this question can be answered. One can be answered by someone like me, and another part can be answered by someone like Professor Vaneet, because he's doing actuary. I will answer it from financial professional perspective, because finance professional also deal with risk, but slightly different kind of risk. CFA body has another great certification program called FRM, that is called Financial Risk Management. Very prestigious one. So there you learn about various managing risk of businesses from financial perspective. How do you use options, futures, and swap to not only mitigate, minimize, or in some cases eliminate the risk? How do you assess the risk of various kinds of projects? If a company is investing more money in project, estimate the risk, manage the risk, and then after understanding the risk, raise appropriate level of finance. So in finance area, risk is one of, in fact, the WEF report also says that risk area is the area which is least likely to get impacted by future. In fact, it will be much more in demand, because my opinion is that future is going to be a bit more uncertain than what it was in the past. Professor Vaneet, actuaries.
Yeah, so as I think you are aware that actuaries work mainly in insurance sector, but that is not true. They also work in various other kind of jobs related to, say, banks or other financial houses. But say, for example, if I specifically talk about insurance sector, whether you will be receiving premium in future or not, how to take care of such scenarios. So as Professor Anand has already told, that risk and uncertainty was always there in our past, will be there in our, is in our is present with us in present and will be there in future. So I don't think that role of actuaries and their jobs will be threatened anytime soon, because risk and uncertainty will be there, and they are very specific people with very specific kind of skill sets. Those are best suited to manage risk.
Okay, next question, Matthew Joy. How can I prepare for the changes in accounting, in the accounting environment in college? Wonderful question. Great. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. First of all, Matthew, you have to not only, think about this kind of question, not only during the undergraduate time, but also once you graduate from a BCom, BA, whatever program you're going to be joining. Then you have to think about your post-graduation. Then the life is going to demand from you in future that every 5 years you learn something. But I'm going to leave that question aside. I'm going to only confine myself to what you have just asked. You should be not only curious and hungry about learning about accounting and finance, Matthew, you should also be learning and be sensitive towards legal implications of various decisions that finance and finance professionals and accountants do. You have to understand a little bit about international affairs, because risk and business opportunities are not just domestic these days. They are international, they are global. When our students, some of our 11 students of ours, JSPF, were going to Wharton, and they were very excited about that. They were very happy that they were going to Wharton for basically a program, an executive certificate program. But now they can't go because of the COVID situation. Why am I telling you about this? Because risk comes from various directions. Risk can come from a virus. Risk can come from a political turmoil from a country. So you need to be curious about international affairs also. India and China relation and global international politics will change after COVID. So as I was saying, you should get into this complex level of thinking, and you can't sit there and you can say that I'm going to do complex thinking. You need to engage with wide variety of material in order to do complex level of thinking. So you need to be curious about international affairs. You need to be curious about little bit of legal and regulatory framework within which our financial system, accounting system works. You need to understand that how society's preferences in terms of consumption of services and product is changing. But if you do not understand that, as a finance professional, you will not be able to put together right kind of financial products so that people of future are going to consume that. So just to answer your question in one sentence, you have to be hungry, voracious about various kind of knowledge at the undergraduate level itself. Treat this undergraduate should be given as much respect as a postgraduate education. So I'm going to stop here because we don't have much time, because we have 2-3 more questions, at least 2-3 more questions. Professor Vani, do you want to respond to this question?
No.
How can
just try to answer?
All right. We have another question. Does professional degrees going to play a crucial role for any student who is interested in any kind of startup or any kind of research in finance world? Well, very wide question again. So of course, professional certifications are important from at least 2 perspectives. One, not only it provides signaling to industry that you worked hard and you have ability to understand complex topics, and therefore this you are worth hiring. Signaling. You are already, if you possess some certificates, very well respected certificates, you signal to the market. This is one end. Second is, obviously you learn very valuable skills while undergoing these certificate program, because many of these certificate programs are not easy to acquire. You have to work very hard. In our school, there are students who are working for CFA, and they have to work very hard in order to clear level 1 examination. So you're going to learn a lot. And your second part of the question, is it going to play a role in kind of startup and kind of research in finance world? Of course. I mean, if your certification programs are going to make you learn a lot of things, therefore your research is going to be much more robust, deep, and valuable. Of course, it's going to play a role, because if you did CFA, FRM, or other kind of actuarial science, these certificate programs will take you very deep inside that problem. So you are already ready for complex level of thinking. And they are also going to introduce to various kind of technological landscape in their area. So you will be better prepared. For startups, I don't know whether certificate program will be helpful for startup. Only thing that I can say that if you have deep knowledge in one area, it's easier for you to start a new business in that area. Otherwise, the fact that you have a CFA or CA itself is not that important, but the knowledge is important. I have seen a lot of people without any CA or CFA degree, but they have started something in fintech area. They are just engineer, but they have started in something in fintech area. Startup requires a slightly different kind of person, a different kind of personality. CFA, CA, ACCA, all these things do help, but they are not the necessary condition. Professor Bani.
Yeah. So just to add, just maybe one or two lines, that these certifications will help you to acquire certain skill sets, as Professor Anand has already stated. But to start a business venture, you need a different kind of mindset, and you have to get into field, get your hands dirty, and learn over there how to go about various things, and then establish your business venture.
We had another important question that I missed. I'm sorry. Do BCom student at JSBF do internship in accounting and auditing firms? I should have answered this question because we are very happy to let you know that the two largest accounting and consulting firm of the world, they not only come to our campus, they teach courses here. Our goal in BCom program, as I said earlier, our BCom degree is not a gateway, just a gateway degree to your MBA or anything else. We treat it very seriously here. So KPMG, EY teach courses here. Currently, EY is teaching direct and indirect taxes, custom and GST to our students. KPMG teaches financial accounting, and in fact, this is part of our core curriculum. So I don't know what else can I say. We are very deeply engaged with accounting firms here and many other kinds of industry also. But BCom being a BCom school and banking and finance school, we are in constant conversation with these accounting firm and consulting firm. And in fact, they, as I said just now, they engage with our students on weekly basis in the classroom. So I don't know what more can I say about this. Professor Vani, do you want to say something about it?
Yeah, so some of our students specifically did internship in these accounting and auditing firms, and
yes.
So we provide our students opportunity to really do internship in these companies.
And when EY and KPMG is already interacting with you in the classroom, and if you do well, and I hope you do well, then they are already a prime candidate for internship and many perhaps better things with EY and KPMG. So if they are interacting with you on weekly basis, if you seem to be someone with bright spark, of course you stand a very good chance not only landing an internship opportunity, but something better also. Okay, so I think we have time enough for one more question. So we'll take, let's see. How is BCom Honors plus MBA a better option compared to BBA plus MBA? Somebody told me that BBA and MBA have almost same curriculum. Is it true? Will BCom along with MBA in say marketing and not finance give me wider exposure along with management knowledge? All right, let's see how can I answer this question. So I'll give you example. The chancellor of this university, Mr. Naveen Jindal, is a BCom. He went on to do his MBA from USA. And then he became an entrepreneur. He's running a successful business. Vice Chancellor of this university also did BCom from Delhi University. And then he went to Oxford and then to Harvard to, acquire, higher education in law. I also did BCom. And then I did MBA, I did CFA, and then I also did PhD. Point that I'm trying to make is, first of all, BComs not only do CA, CFA and other thing, many of us do MBA also, many of us become entrepreneurs as well. Second part of your question. What is the distinction between BBA and BCom? I will not be able to settle this question in this next 2-3 minutes, but let me say this. BBA is, the answer lies in the full form of the abbreviation BBA, Bachelor of Business Administration. They will teach you economics, they will teach you financial accounting, they will teach you management accounting and HR and various other things also, organizational behavior, marketing. but they will teach you from managerial perspective. That you will, I'm sure that many of you have seen textbook in the market, economics for manager, accounting for manager, finance for manager. So they will give you some sort of basic understanding of these areas, by which, with the help of which, you are able to take managerial decisions. So everything is taught from the managerial perspective. What BCom does is basically, and therefore BBA typically teaches large number of courses. There are specialization there also, but they typically teach large number of courses. What BCom does, tries to maintain a balance that tries to give you exposure of wide variety of things, but also tries to take you deeper into it, so that not very deep, because you're still very young, 17, 18-year-old, but little more deep, so that you engage deeply with that study material, and therefore you are in better position to decide about your future, whether you will do MBA from here or abroad, whether you'll do MBA finance. And before you graduate from BCom, you may already have level 1 of CFA, maybe you have 1 or 2 certificates from KPMG and EY, maybe you have already done few courses of ACCA. Whether you do not finish it, you still do an MBA, but it's going to give you deeper understanding. So this is my opinion. Now, marketing. BCom also teaches marketing, but of course we teach marketing of financial services. I agree, if you have a bent of mind that you want to basically go into marketing area, that's fair enough. Then perhaps you should consider BBA could be a better thing for you, because marketing is required in various kind of area, FMCG industry, manufacturing industry, financial services. But 90% of the jobs in banking and finance services is also from marketing. And if you want to, if you just sit quietly for 2 minutes and think that what most bankers do, they either interact with clients or they do some sort of, not sales, marketing job. In order to market and sell financial products, you need to understand financial product, right? If you do not understand financial product, if you do not have basic awareness of financial management and financial accounting, it will be very difficult for you to persuade your clients. So marketing, we also teach, BCom also teach marketing, but we teach marketing from the financial services perspective. But you are an individual who would like to, you would like to sell FMCG soaps and shampoo, then perhaps it will be better for you to do a BBA. But otherwise, if you want to work in marketing, but in financial services area, tremendous amount of opportunity. So anyway, guys, our time is over. We are being asked to go because I think there is another webinar that is going to take place. I was very happy. Both of us were very happy to speak with all of you here. Feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions related with that. I know that some of the questions we could not take, give a sufficient amount of time, but we'll be very happy